everyone, this is Dushyant, BSc Non-Medical Semester 5. Today I'm going to discuss the topic biological role of alkali and alkaline earth metals. So we are going to discuss basically what role alkali and alkaline earth metals play in the biological systems, in nature, in the human body. Alkali and alkaline earth metals belongs to group 1 and group 2 of the periodic table. So let's discuss. Alkali metal ions such as sodium and potassium. And alkaline earth metal ions. These are alkali metal ions. Then we have magnesium and calcium, which are alkaline earth metal ions. So sodium और potassium alkali metal ions है, magnesium and calcium alkaline earth metal ions है. These are present in they play a major role in biological system. These are present in most of the biological systems. Though these ions, sodium, potassium, magnesium and calcium ions, are quite similar chemically, because of their position we can see in the periodic table, but they differ greatly in their biological activities. Though they have same chemical behavior, उनका chemical behavior काफ़ी same है, but biological activities are different. Though they have same chemical behavior, but their biological behavior or activities are quite different from each other. So we'll discuss why they are. Let's discuss the basic concentration of above mentioned ions, sodium, potassium, magnesium and calcium in the living cell. Now magnesium and potassium ion are present in higher concentrations inside the cell, whereas the sodium and potassium are present in a higher concentration outside the cell. Magnesium and potassium ions are present in higher concentrations inside the cell, and sodium and potassium ions are present in higher concentrations outside the cell. Now magnesium and potassium, जो magnesium और potassium ions हैं, they are present in higher concentration inside the cell, whereas sodium and potassium ions are present in higher concentration outside the cell. In addition to these 4 ions, we have a calcium 2 plus ion, which are also important constituents. We know bones, it stabilizes conformation of proteins and triggers मस्कुलर कॉन्ट्रैक्शन. जो कैल्शियम 2 प्लस आयन है हमारे पास बॉडी में, बोन्स में है, वो जो सिग्नलिंग जाती है मसल से उसे स्टेबलाइज करता है, मसल की कॉन्ट्रैक्शन एक्सपेंशन को चेक इन करता है कैल्शियम 2 प्लस आयन. एंड इट इज़ अ मेजर कंपोनेंट इन रिलीज ऑफ हॉर्मोन्स. कैल्शियम 2 plus ion also form important constituent of bones, stabilizes conformation of proteins, और जो है हमारे पास मसल के जो ट्रिगर होता है एंड ट्रिगर्स मसल कॉन्ट्रैक्शन. In addition to this, it also play a major role in release of hormones, helps in release of hormones. Now magnesium forms a complex with ATP. What is ATP? ATP is adenosine triphosphate. These are what? Energy packets. So it forms a complex with ATP which is required for most enzymatic reactions involving ATP within the cell. Now sodium and potassium ions play very significant role transport, which is very important for kidneys. Which must preserve the proper concentrations, the basic vital ions जो है उनकी बॉडी के concentrations of the vital ions in the body, conserving sodium and secreting potassium, which we've discussed earlier. Concentration of the vital ions in the body by conserving sodium plus and secreting potassium. Now we are going to discuss a very important process which happens in the human body and the body of the other animals, which is sodium potassium transport. That is sodium, potassium transport. So we know that both sodium and potassium are basically essential जो हैं वो living organisms के लिए हैं. We have discussed the advantages, functions of sodium ion and potassium ions in the body. That is, sodium ions in the body are a major component of blood plasma, important in nerve action, also the functions of heart. It helps in the activation of some enzymes in the cells, which we have discussed earlier. Also responsible for transportation of glucose and amino acids, which are basic building blocks of life, through membrane. That is, sodium ions are major component of blood plasma. Then we have important in nerve action and function of heart. It helps in activation of some enzymes. Important in activation of some enzymes, also responsible for transport of glucose and amino acids through membranes. Responsible for transport of glucose and amino acids or amino acids through membranes. These are the basic functions of sodium ions. We have also discussed with it the functions of potassium ions, which are again glucose metabolism, protein synthesis, and activation of enzymes similar to sodium that we have also discussed earlier. That is, potassium ions are required in the cell for first glucose metabolism, second protein synthesis, then we have activation of some enzymes. Activation of some enzymes. Enzymes are basically chemical compounds present biologically in every animal, also in plants, helps in basic functioning of the body. Like that is, most of the animals have a high concentration of potassium ion and low concentration of sodium ion inside the cell. However, in the fluids outside the cells, the concentration of sodium ion is high while that of potassium is very low. Therefore, these because of large concentration gradient means difference change inside and outside the cells. The transportation of sodium ion cell is favored from higher concentration to lower concentration due to the difference in concentration of sodium ions and potassium ion inside and outside the cell. Transport of sodium ion is favored. The transport जो है obviously from higher concentration to lower concentration ही रहेगा. Transport of sodium ion into the cell is favored, which will be from higher concentration to lower concentration जाएगा तो वो inside the cell move करेगा. Now अब सोडियम आयन जो एंटर कर रहा है सेल के अंदर वो नेचुरली सेल के अंदर एग्जिस्ट करता है पोटेशियम ज़्यादा हाई कंसनट्रेशन में जो कि बॉडी के लिए स्टेबल है. अगर सोडियम एंटर करता है तो इट मस्ट बी पम्प्ड आउट अगेन फ्रॉम द सेल to maintain the natural concentrations. Now the maintenance of these concentrations provides a driving force to carry out transport processes. अभी जो ये concentration maintain करने के लिए सोडियम अंदर पंप हो रहा है बट जो concentration difference है सोडियम का बाहर अंदर सेल में उसे मेंटेन करने के लिए फोर्स अभी रिक्वायर्ड होगा. तो फोर्स टू कैरी आउट ट्रांसपोर्ट प्रोसेस इट इन्वॉल्व अमाइनो एसिड्स, शुगर्स, न्यूक्लियोटाइड्स etc. Therefore, energy is also used during the process. That is the maintenance of these large concentration gradients provide a driving force to carry out transport processes involving amino acids, sugars and nucleotides. etc. Thus, some metabolic energy जो एनर्जी है वो यूज तो हुई है. Some metabolic energy is expended to maintain जो है concentration gradient, concentration difference inside and outside the cell. Concentration gradient difference of sodium and potassium ions inside and outside the cell. अब जो पूरा मैकेनिज्म है, मैकेनिज्म फॉर दिस प्रोसेस जो पूरा इन्वॉल्व है उसे नाम दिया गया है सोडियम पंप और सोडियम आयन पोटेशियम आयन पंप बिकॉज ऑफ द मूवमेंट ऑफ बोथ द आयन्स इज linked to each other. Mechanism for this process is known as sodium pump or sodium and potassium ion pump because the movement of both ions are linked. Movement of both the ions are linked. Both the ions is linked. Now in some cells, कुछ सेल्स के अंदर जो एटीपी मॉलिक्यूल एडेनोसाइन ट्राइफॉस्फेट मॉलिक्यूल है हाइड्रोलाइज करता है रिएक्शन विद वाटर इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ एडीपी ट्रांसपोर्ट करता है 3 सोडियम आयंस आउट ऑफ द सेल एंड 2 पोटेशियम आयंस इन द सेल रिएक्शन अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस रिएक्शन तो इन सम सेल्स each ATP molecule on hydrolysis to ADP transports 3 sodium ion out of the cell and 2 potassium ion to the cell. According to the reaction, so here is the reaction. ATP carrying 4 negative charge on hydrolysis puts 3 sodium ions inside going and 2 potassium ions going outside, changes to 2 potassium ions going inside ADP molecule carrying 3 negative charge H2PO4 negative plus 3 sodium ion moving outside. The difference is it is going inside firstly and potassium ions are going outside. On the reaction on hydrolysis the movement changes, potassium ion go inside and sodium go outside. The binding state of ATP is located on the inside of cell membrane. ATP molecules originate inside cell membrane where ADP is liberated and a phosphate group becomes bound to protein. This group bounds to protein. ADP is liberated, potassium ion moves inside and sodium goes outside. This is the whole mechanism how sodium potassium transport happen the cell. It is also called sodium pump, sodium ion potassium ion pump because the movement is linked with both the ions. It is also called sodium potassium transport. Thank you very much. See you.